fall into big savings, all in the Kroger app. Get 6 packs of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up for $2.99 each. Then get juicy red, green, or black seedless grapes for 99 cents a pound, all with your card and a digital coupon. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Listen to that. Nothing beats a vinyl. Some technology just stands the test of time. Our technology not only brings the cool, it also brings the heat. At Mitsubishi Electric, we've been mastering and innovating heat pump technology since 1970. EcoDan, continued innovation in heating for home and business. Mitsubishi Electric, changes for the better.
Real Life, Real Crime is a true crime podcast brought to you by Woody Overton and executive producer Toby Tomplay.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during any questioning. You can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?
Your crime spree was over, son. Yeah, you thought you had it licked, but Detective Overton made you should have turned to shit. Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Warning. This episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that are of a sexual nature. It should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I did not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts we're retelling you were presented to us by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My description of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own 2 eyes. If you're gonna get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And today we're going to be continuing with part 2 of Eye on You. A couple quick announcements. As always, I want to say thank you to you lifers out there for sharing us and liking us and subscribing and making us grow, telling you people about it. It's just love, love, love. And to our Patreon members, thank you. And for your financial support of the show. It really makes us go. And thank you for those of you Patreon members who have taken advantage of the yearly discount, y'all. If you sign up and you pay for the year ahead of time on whatever level it is, you get 2 months free and you get all your benefits up front. So no waiting 3 months to get your shirt or your coffee mug or whatever it may be, or your phone call with me. Another thing, y'all, I got on Discord this week. I had a great lifer, Nathan Pontier, was able to walk us through it. But if you don't know what Discord is, it's an app, and Patreon members, open container and above. I've been getting on there. I was able to go live with some of them, but I think it only takes like 25 people live at a time. But I'm able to get on there and message board and directly message back and forth and do some audio stuff. Really cool. You check it out. You never know when I'm going to pop on there. I'm trying to get on there every day. That being said, you can stay tuned for the rest of the announcements after the show. And y'all, I got to go to Alabama this week and hunt with Mr. Tommy Wilcox of Tommy Wilcox Outdoors at the Cameron Quail Preserve. I got to take my son L.A., and Tommy Wilcox is a huge lifer, and he blessed us with the trip, and it was outstanding. I don't know how many time all SEC defensive back. He played under Coach Paul Bear Bryant in Alabama. He's in Alabama Hall of Fame, and his show's been on TV for like 18 or 20 years. So he filmed me hunting at the Cameron Quail Preserve, and thank you to Mr. John out there. What a great people. First class, world class operation, I can tell you that. And so I posted some pictures on the social media that his photographer took, but we also had cameramen following us around, and we did a live television show. So I'll let y'all know when that comes out so you can check it out. It's very well done, and just the best people in the world. So thank you, fellas. I appreciate y'all. All right. So back to Eye on You. When I left you last time, the body had been recovered, or what was left of it, right, and taken to the crime lab, and Dr. Mary Mannheim had taken possession of the body, and I'll come back to that in a second. But let's go back to the scene. I forgot to tell you, I told you that East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office had 2 detectives at the time. One was Don Mackey, who I talked about extensively, but I forgot to tell you about my buddy, Joel Odom. He was the second detective on scene and Don's partner at the East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office. Now, Joel was 1 year younger than me. We went to the same school. He was a grade behind me. He started with East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office. He worked his way up. He's a big, tall guy. Now, I'm like 6'2". He must be 6'4", 6'5". Tall, very, very intelligent, and he had just made detective just a couple months before this murder happened. So I think this was probably his first big case like that. But I called him yesterday and got more insight on the case. And Joel now is head of like all investigators for the Department of Corrections. He's a colonel out of headquarters in Baton Rouge for the Louisiana Department of Corrections. So he's been an investigator all these years, and he only has a couple till he can retire with his 30. So congratulations on that, Joel. It was great talking to you. But let me tell you what he told me. And he said that when they were out there on that scene and he went up to the truck, it was absolutely as bad as I said it was, but probably worse. He said, Woody, it looked like a bomb had gone off inside the truck. He said if you didn't know better, you would think the whole inside of the truck had been burned because of that film of nastiness that was all over it. He said, but it wasn't. He said it was straight up guts. And he said the maggots were like nothing he had ever seen. He said it was just horrible. But Don, Joel got on the scene. He said he looked at it. He went to the truck, looked at it. He talked to Don. And then while they were on scene, family members of the victim started showing up, and then small town, right? The country hotline, if you will, the word spread like crazy, and the victim was identified tentatively by the people there because they knew he had been missing. Some of his family members were there as Emil Anthony Jackson. All right, so Emil Anthony Jackson is who they were saying it's whose truck it was. And of course, Don had run the plate, and that's what it came back to. And it came back to, like I told you before, a missing person out of Baton Rouge, and he had been reported missing by his girlfriend. Okay. Yes, he was a known dope dealer, but that doesn't give somebody a reason to kill you. But while they were on scene, Joel said he interviewed 5 different people that all said who the shooter was. And he said, well, you wouldn't believe what they were telling me. And he said, but each one of them, independent of one another, told me that Bird, a.k.a. Joseph Flowers Jr., Bird, of course, Bird's his street name, so I guess it'd be Joseph Flower Jr., a.k.a. Bird. But he said, Woody, they were telling me shit you wouldn't believe. He said each one of them, and y'all I don't say the N word, but each one of them, independent of each other, said that Bird said at different points since it happened to them that Bird said that he blew a N-word's head off and stole his cocaine. Let's back up to it. Bird is also the one who, on the night that Emil Anthony Jackson went missing, Bird's the one who called him. That late night phone call that Jackson's girlfriend said wasn't unusual because he was a dope dealer, but he just didn't come home, right? And he said that phone call came back to Bird. Bird is the one who made it. And so it's getting shit hot, but it gets even better. Bird's ex-girlfriend lived in Jackson, okay? Now, remember, I told you Jackson is a small town, and then this murder was like a mile above the town off of Highway 10. Said Bird shows up at her door, like in the early morning hours, banging on the door, and she opens it, and it's Bird. So he's got no shirt on. His pants are filthy. His hair, he had cornrows in his hair, and it was full of grass, and he was all sweaty and nasty. And he was like, I need a ride to Baton Rouge. I need a ride to Baton Rouge. And she's like, I ain't got no way to get you to Baton Rouge. He's like, well, let me use your phone. I need to call somebody to get a ride to Baton Rouge. And she asked her, well, what's the deal? And then he said, oh, no, nothing. Just me and my boys running from the police. So he didn't tell her directly, but then he starts making phone calls from there, and she overhears him tell whoever it was she got on the phone, which they later were able to verify this because they traced the number. But he told the person on the phone, he said, I just shot her in the head and took his cocaine. So Joel was on the scene. He said all these different people were giving the information. So they pretty much, knew they had a huge jumping point. But they went in and they followed it up. They talked to all the people. They get them in. They interview them. They get all these different statements. And, I'll never, ever, ever understand why in the fuck won't you keep your mouth shut if you killed somebody, okay? And this guy had diarrhea of the mouth. He wouldn't shut up. He told everybody. And he ends up getting a ride from a guy from Clinton, which 10 miles down the road, ends up coming and picking him up, taking him back to Baton Rouge. And he just won't shut up. He's telling everybody. And, he was like, I need my boys to give me some money together because I shot him in the head and stole his cocaine, and I need to get out of town. Well, come on, man. I mean, you're a robbing, dope dealing, punk ass thief. It's not like your homie's gonna have, $1 million for you to go hide out in the Caribbean, right? But he tells everybody, and he can't shut up. So Joel and Don go to the crime lab, and Joel told me, he said, Woody, it was so bad. And he said, did exactly what Don had said about following the thing down the interstate. He's like, holy smack, man. He said you could smell it then. He said, but when they were in the crime lab, in the bins where they processed the vehicles, he said, man, and he said when they actually had to get the shovels to shovel it out, it was just, he said he had to throw away his clothes. That's how bad it was. He said it stunk so bad, it didn't just stink. It just permeated your clothes, penetrated your clothes and everything. He said when they left there, he said, I took a shower for like an hour and I couldn't get the damn smell off of him. He said, he'd get the juices on him. He's talking about the smell. And he said, and it penetrated my clothes. I had to burn that shit and throw it away. He said, that's how bad it was. But it, really wasn't a body left. It was a maggot soup. And just, at the time, certainly the worst he had ever worked, the worst he had ever seen. So they start digging into it, and they find out that about 5 days, I think it was, after Jackson disappeared, that Jackson's crew, now Jackson is a cocaine dealer, right? And they found out where that last phone call came from, and 2 carloads of his friends and family or associates, whatever you want to call them, go to the residence, and they accuse Byrd of knowing about where Jackson was and all that. And it was, obviously it was a disturbance deal in the hood, and the cops got called on and everything else. Well, you know what? I'd have done the same thing if I know that you are. And now look, Byrd has a history, carjacking and guns and cocaine's, right? So, and yeah, I'm gonna ride over it. And I mean, the police aren't doing anything. Well, first of all, they don't have a body. There's nothing to work yet. But they went over there and there was a report made of it. And guess who was there? Byrd was there. So going into it, came back that, I don't know if I told you this last week or not, that Dr. Mannheim said that upon examination of the skull, she x-rayed it, and there were a bunch of bullet fragments inside the skull where the metal bullet had disintegrated. But it went in one side of the temple and out the other. So it went through it and basically blew up inside, but it still had enough force where that bullet came out. I told you about that was in the truck. And so that definitely was what killed him. What did they do? They go to State District Judge George H. Ware Jr. Now, let me tell you about him real quick. It was Judge Howe is what we called him. And Judge Howe became district attorney when my grandfather retired. Judge Howe ran and won the election for district attorney for East and West Feliciana. What's funny about that is his son and I were best friends, and we were kind of, we won't say the wild childs and the troublemakers, but we always were the ones who seemed to end up in trouble in the small towns. Everybody knew who we were. But then he was DA for, I don't know, numerous years, and then he became the judge. But they went to the judge, and they, preponderance of evidence, all the statements and everything else, and Byrd telling everybody that he had shot and his words, y'all. I mean, it's on all the things. I mean, he said the N word, not me, but that's what he told everybody. I shot him in the head in various different ways, but shot him in the head. He told one person that he clubbed him with the pistol, then shot him and stole his cocaine. So they went and got a warrant for first-degree murder by Byrd for the first-degree murder of Emil Anthony Jackson. And that was on May the 21st, just a couple of days after the body was discovered on that property. Now, that's good police work, right? So what do you do at this point? Well, Byrd's dumb. And he has diarrhea of the mouth, but he's not dumb. I mean, he's not coming to East Feliciana Parish. So they take that warrant and they entered it into the NCIC computer, and that's the National Crime Information Center computer, so that Joseph Flowers Jr., a.k.a. Byrd, anywhere he gets stopped or somebody happens to run his driver's license.
Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
Or whatever, it's going to come back with an alert, wanted for first-degree murder out of East Feliciana Parish. Now, Bird, during this time, they certainly just didn't give up looking on him. Joel said they were looking for him, but they were kind of behind him. Bird was hopping from house to house and staying at different places. He's laying low. But I wonder what goes through a person's mindset like that. I mean, you can't outrun the fucking warrant, y'all. That's what I always used to say. If somebody got away from me and I knew who they were and I got a warrant for them, I didn't care, because you can run as long as you want to, but that warrant will catch up with you sooner or later. And it happened, as it always does. But shit, it was over a month. June 20, I think it was July 1st. Bird riding through the hood in Baton Rouge and gets stopped for a freaking traffic violation. And they get him out and they find him in possession of a pistol with the serial number filed off of it and some dope. Okay, well, your first problem is, that's Louisiana Revised Statute 1495E, carrying a firearm with illegal narcotics. I mean, that's a great charge. I mean, you're gonna get time for that. But then you add in the facing of the serial number. Well, shit, you're putting in a federal charge right there. That's Project Exile, the alternate of the gun. That's another 5 years federal. But that's not. They didn't know what they had at first, right? They stop him. Get consent to search. That's the other thing. If I got shit in my car, I'm not letting you search. You're going to have to get a search warrant, right? Well, he lets them search. And they find the firearm. They find the dope. Then they were able to get his ID. And they run him, and beep, 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 beep. Comes back. Wanted, first-degree murder, East Feliciana Parish. Well, Joel Odom and Don Mackey get paged out. Because remember, back then, most of us didn't have cell phones. And they get paged that the guy's in custody. So they load up, haul ass the 45 minutes to Baton Rouge. Now, Baton Rouge City, if you get arrested by the Baton Rouge City Police, you may go to one of their substations to start getting processed, but ultimately you still have to be booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Jail, which is run by the sheriff. And so it's over by the airport in Baton Rouge. So they go there. And once he's done being processed in, they take Bird and they bring him back to Clinton, to the sheriff's office. Now, the sheriff's office in Clinton has two, you can't really even call them offices. It has two offices, if you will. One is the old-time It's a little bitty red brick building that sits outside the courthouse on Courthouse Square. And I think that they use that more for administrative stuff. But it's been there forever. I mean, since way before I was born, and my grandfather and them were judges and stuff. I mean, but that's still the oldest functioning courthouse in the state of Louisiana. So it's been there forever. But they didn't take him there. They took him to what we call the parish prison or parish jail, and that's where the detectives' offices, if you can call it that, were. Now, remember, I told you East Feliciana was a very poor parish tax-wise, and so their tax base was so low. They just didn't have the money. And, I mean, you know, they drove the shittiest units, and they had the worst equipment. And I mean, like, I think the detectives' uniforms were like jeans and a shirt that said sheriff's detective, you know, and your firearm. Where we had to wear like coats and ties every day. But they bring them in. It's the complex. You pull up to it. It's when you first come into Clinton on Plank Road or Highway 67. It is. You take a left right when you get on the edge of town into this long drive, and it passes the one facility that they actually get some taxes off of. But it goes back to where the ball fields are, where I used to play baseball when I was a boy. And they built that prison. Now you pull up to it. It's a nondescript kind of metalish looking building on the outside, gravel parking lot. You walk in, there's a little bitty outer area, and you have to get buzzed through, and you go in. The detective's office is really like just a little room with a couple of desks and brick walls, you know, the cheapest construction that you can get. And they bring him in, Bird in, and they sit him down. Mackey advised him of his rights, and he said that he understood and that he would answer questions. He agreed to it. Again, prisons are full of dummies. I don't get it. I mean, if you got me first-degree murder, bitch, you better call my lawyer, because I'm not saying shit. But this guy's already told God and everybody. So they asked him to talk, and Joel said, shit. He said, yeah, I'll talk. And he said on that night that he called Jackson, the victim. He called the victim in to buy some cocaine from him. He said he had bought cocaine from him before. And when the victim shows up to sell him the cocaine, all of a sudden, this boogeyman, J.J. McManus, jumps out of the bushes and puts a gun to the victim's head and made him slide over. Now, this is Bird saying this. Made the victim slide into the middle, and Bird said he got in on the passenger side, so they had the victim sandwiched in between them. But then Bird says that McManus gave him the pistol, and he held the pistol on the victim all the way to Jackson. Hell, that's a 45-minute ride, y'all. And so he's admitting, evidently he didn't get his law degree. He's admitting that he took part in the kidnapping and armed robbery of the victim. Well, guess what? In the Louisiana law, if you took part in it, of the killing, his first degree or whatever degree it is, you admit you took part in it, motherfucker, you're just as guilty as a person who pulled the trigger. But Bird's telling him this. He said, and they drove the 45 minutes up there, and they parked out there in the sticks. And he said that McManus took the victim's cocaine, and that he took the gun back from Bird, and that McManus is the one who shot him in the head, and that they left and they ran their own separate ways, right? I mean, how fucking stupid is that? I mean, okay, so you just totally put yourself, again, on the kidnapping. You were there for the armed robbery. Even if you didn't take the cocaine, you're just as guilty. And you're saying McManus pulled the trigger. And, guess what, dummy? You're just as guilty no matter what. So it's just crazy. I mean, he admits to it. Everything in the story fit. Everything that the good detective work that they had done fits to the T, except for J.J. McManus is Bird's scapegoat. Bird is the only one that puts McManus on the scene as the trigger man or even involved, period. He's never told all the other people. He said, I shot that in I hit him in the head and I shot that in and I took his dope. Everything he said. And it's showing up at his ex-girlfriend's house all dirty without his shirt. Remember, y'all, the shirt was in the truck, and he tried to light it on fire because I guess he, saw it on the movies. At some point, you can put a T-shirt in a gas tank and light it on fire. Well, guess what? That shit doesn't work. They have defenses for that. Everything fit except for McManus. And so, but guess what? You can't pick and choose as an investigator which part of the story or the confession that you want to believe. And yes, that sucks because, if you don't follow up on McManus, then Bird's defense attorney, when he finally gets one, is going to blame everything on McManus. First of all, he's going to try to suppress Bird's confession and say that Joel and Don beat it out of him or twisted out of him or whatever. It's a free shot for him. But ultimately, he's going to blame everything on McManus. So what do? They go and they have to find McManus. Now, McManus is no virgin, okay? And he's no stranger to the game either. And so they end up finding him ultimately after some... They had to get, first of all, they had to get a warrant. They had to get a warrant for McManus, all right? And again, it's a warrant, y'all. It's probable cause. This is 50% plus one. More murders are solved after the arrests are made than have ever been solved any other way. But they have the information now from Bird. He's under arrest. His ass ain't getting out. But he's sticking McManus there. Now, you can't just ignore that and say, well, we don't believe you because you told all this other people's stuff and his name's never come up. Now you have to go investigate it. But so what do? They get a warrant for him. And guess what happens? Sometime later, because he's a street man himself and he's in the game. They can't get him right away. But at some point, Baton Rouge City Police stop McManus in a vehicle and run his shit. And guess what happens? BBB wanted first-degree murder out of East Feliciana Parish. So I guess Baton Rouge City was thinking, shit, that's all we get from East Feliciana Parish is murders up here, right? But they bring McManus in, and he, of course, denied it. Now, he said that he and Bird used to run together, and they were tight, he said, but they had a falling out over money, and that he was not with Bird that night and hadn't been with Bird, and in fact that Bird said he was going to get him and he would show him. So I guess Bird thought he would show him by tying his ass up involved and putting him as the shooter in a murder, which didn't do anything. It still puts him there. He admitted it, that he was there. And they were able to, through investigation, to prove that McManus didn't have dick to do with it. He had the alibi, he had everything. He wasn't even anywhere near what happened, okay? So ultimately, the charge, he had to be booked. They had to go back down to the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison and pick him up and take him down, book him in the East Feliciana Parish Prison and all that shit. And it's a process. Sucks for him, but it is what it is. And it has to be worked. Like I said, you can't pick and choose which parts you want to believe. You have to investigate it. And they did a fine job on it. Now, how much cocaine they got, I'm not sure. They weren't exact on it. It wasn't like it was kilos or anything, y'all. But it was a believable amount that Bird would have bought from the victim before. But the funny thing was, not funny, but when they were processing the body, they found cash, like almost like $300 cash on the victim. So, I mean, this dumbass shoots him in the head, steals his cocaine, doesn't even check his pockets. He's got another $300. But the totality of the circumstances being him showing up at his girlfriend's in no shirt and her overhearing, ex-girlfriend, her overhearing him. He's the one that made the phone call to the victim's phone. All the people that he had diarrhea of the mouth to, and it's a lot of it. I mean, I could do it, but it was be an hour and a half episode, read you each one. And all these different people put it together. And of course, it's good detective work, but they put it together, and it is what it is. So what happens now? Well, Judge Howe, or the Honorable George H. Ware, is now retired, by the way, and he's tough. Now, you remember, he's a former prosecutor, and he was tough when he was a prosecutor, and he damn sure was tough when he's a judge, and he ain't going to play. And it certainly doesn't take lightly to the first-degree murder of anyone. But he's fair. So Byrd gets all his bullshit legal maneuvers, and they did what I said. They have to have the motion to suppress, and they have the statements, and then they challenged everything and called the detectives everything but a child of God, and all that. Just like I've told you on past episodes, it is a free shot for the defense attorneys to try to get their guy off. First of all, they find out everything in the probable cause hearings. Well, actually, it would have gone to the grand jury even after the arrest. In the motion to suppress hearing, they find out everything that Don Mackey and Joel Odom had, including all the people who told on Byrd. Well, Bird's got some street cred, and that I can't confirm this one way or another, but supposedly there was some of his people were reaching out trying to get these people to recant their stories. Why does Byrd even know about them? Because of the process, and they got to know everything. Basically, it's like a trial. The motion to suppress, the hearings, preliminary hearings, etc. It is a free shot for the defense attorneys to find out everything you have, and that includes witnesses and the whole 9 yards. Well, I mean, this dude offs a guy behind some powder, behind some cocaine, and this is not like he's a choir boy. Then he tries to stick McManus in on it and get him the death penalty, right? And it's a death penalty case, y'all, in Louisiana. If the murder has aggravating circumstances, which is the murder occurs during an armed robbery or, another good felony like that. Well, this one's got it all. This has kidnapping because they took him from Baton Rouge, and then Byrd executes him and steals his shit. So, I mean, it is a first-degree murder case all the way, and that's what they filed for. That's what they originally went for. But that's not what they ended up pleading it down to, if you will. I think at a certain point, after all the stuff gets denied by Judge Howe, that the defense attorney is like, hey, Byrd, your bird's about to get fried like some Popeyes, right? I mean, your shit is done. If they want to go for the death penalty, they'll get it. Well, guess what, y'all? They weren't going to go for the death penalty. I mean, even though it has the aggravating circumstances and all that, the defense would have been all about the victim being a dope dealer and his long history of bad shit. But I don't have to tell you all about it because it doesn't do any good to slander the dead. He still was murdered. Yes, he put himself in that situation by living that lifestyle, but nobody deserves to be executed. I mean, think about your last seconds on earth if you're him, right? I mean, he didn't ride to Jackson, Louisiana to the sticks, but of his own accord. I firmly believe that Byrd held the pistol on him. He comes over to sell him some dope. He gets in pulls the pistol on him, tells him to drive. Well, that's a long freaking ride.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
45 minutes at least to where they're going. And guess what? It only gets darker when you go from Baton Rouge to Jackson, Louisiana. You might hit a couple street lights. I'm going to tell you it's rural. And when they crossed Highway 10 in Jackson, Louisiana, there may have been a couple street lights, but can you imagine the victim begging for his life? Like, come on, man, just let me go. Take the dope, man. You know, take my truck, whatever. Let me go. Bird didn't have it in him, all right? And I think Bird was like 19 years old or something. He was young, but he had already had the history. I mean, he was thug life. It was on, and that's the way he had been, the way he was going to be. And my heart goes out to the victim's family, even though he was in a high risk lifestyle. Nobody. I mean, I'd hate to think for one of my kids or someone I love that had to beg for their life for 45 minutes, because they knew that, or maybe he was praying in the back of his mind that Bird wasn't going to smoke him, but he did, and to die in a pitch black spot like that, I mean, I don't know. So, but I mean, he shot him, and you know the rest of the story, right? So did not go to trial. I guess Bird at some point in time saw the writing on the wall. First of all, McManus gets released, and he knows that dog won't hunt, right? And then instead of going to trial for the death penalty, they start negotiations. And I think Joel Odom told me that that Bird took 60 years. 60 years. Now that's a far cry from the death penalty, right? But 60 years in the state of Louisiana, he would have to do, if he got out on parole. Now, in Louisiana, they have good time. So for every day that you behave once you're inside, you get a day off of your sentence to be eligible for parole, right? So he would have been eligible for parole, or he will be eligible for parole if he behaves, which I doubt. That in what? That was 2001, 2031. So another 10 years. So fuck you, Bird, is what I have to say. And so he's still doing his time in the Department of Corrections, and he'll be doing his time after Don Mackey and Joel Odom both aren't investigated anymore. And that, to me, is one that's a win for the good guys. Never brings the victim back for the family, but it's a good win. And, just another sad story. But unfortunately, these cases happen all the time, and, it is what it is. So, I mean, if you were, I guess if the victim was some rich white churchgoer or whatever, then maybe they got the death penalty. But I don't think anybody really cared, and they certainly I don't mean the prosecutor. I mean, Sam Aquila would have been the district attorney at the time. I know they care, but what I'm saying is the victim does not have a bunch of people that are voting in East and West Feliciana. They don't they don't have people that are going to raise hell about it. And, unfortunately, it's common on the streets like that. But, 60 years is 60 years. That's if he makes parole. That's if he's a good little boy. And I don't believe he is. He was inmate punk going in, and, you lose good time. You get in trouble, you lose good time. So he'll probably be, I'll probably be dead by the time he gets out or gets paroled. But anyway, he's a murder bayou for him. So it really tripped me out, y'all, that I came back here to East Feliciana, and I still have our house down the island in Livingston. But when I was looking into all the cold cases, the murder cases, and like talking to Joel, and Joel said shit when he made detective had like 35 unsolved homicides in East Feliciana Parish, and shit, this is just as rural as you get, and that's a lot. And it's not because of the law enforcement didn't want to solve it, but it's because of it's kind of like Livingston used to be on the east side back in the day. The people kind of took care of their own, you know what I mean? It's like the victim's crew rolling up on Bird and them. Evidently, they beat the shit out of them. 2 carloads of people where the disturbance happened, and the cops had to be called. But it's just an unusually high amount. And I'm going to be doing some stuff with Joel Odom in the future on some of these cases, some that I have direct involvement with. And anyway, looking forward to those. Joel, a hell of an investigator, career investigator who's actually worked homicides and knows what the fuck he's talking about. So that's it. That concludes Eye on You. We just want to start season 7 with a little bit of back to the basics murder, right? So there you have it. Now, podcast stuff. Jesus, a lot. Let's see. I think Sin actually made me a list of things if I could find it. But local, or I should just say local, the small businesses, if you want to advertise or have me promote you through Real Life, Real Crime, contact Cindy at CYNDI@Real Life, Real Crime. We have all the statistics and all the numbers, and we're doing it for these national companies every week. Those of you who aren't Patreon members, you have to listen to the commercials, right? And I am a believer of keeping it local and trying to help expand and grow small business. It doesn't have to necessarily be local, because some of the ones I'm going to be doing really aren't local. But so yeah, anyway, if you're interested, there's so many different levels we can do it on, from the podcast to personal appearances to whatever, and social media, and the sky's the limit. So I think on our crew page, y'all, on Facebook, Real Life, Real Crime, Friends, Fans, and Crew, we're like 32,000 members or more now. Y'all go check it out. If you like true crime and you like Real Life, Real Crime, you have to ask to be a part of the group. Now, don't get butthurt. They have rules and stuff, and they give you a warning about the group. And look, true crime fans, my life was, you got to be a little bit twisted. And so there's a little bit of twisted stuff that's posted in there, and that's okay because that's a safe place where people can go and not get judged. And we do a lot of posts and in there, so y'all go check it out. And we have the regular Real Life Real Crime page on Facebook. We have Real Life Real Crime Lanyap page, which it's a private group also, but you can get admitted into that and post anything that you want that's not true crime related, whether you're selling stuff or we got lifers that make all kinds of kick-ass stuff, and they go in there and they share with other people. But it's not just that. They do different videos and funny things and all that. So y'all check that out. But to either one of those groups, Dream Team moderators, y'all, I don't give these people enough credit. They have been with us now forever. We have 2 from Australia and 1 from Canada. I think a couple from California. We have them from all across. We have Watson, Louisiana. We have them from all over the world, basically. And these are the people who will get you approved. And y'all, you know who you are. I appreciate you. Cindy appreciates you. And we absolutely cannot run 70-something thousand people on social media without the Dream Team moderators managing everything from day to day. And they do the best job because everybody who joins the groups love them. So Instagram, y'all, I'm posting stuff on there all the time. Totally different than the crew page and all that. So you can go to at Real Life Real Crime or at Overton Woody and go check it out. I got some cool stuff on there and some of it's funny stuff and what have you. But check it out. Give me a follow and see if you like it. And hey, crew members, that's for y'all too. It's everything I do on there is totally different than what I do on Facebook. The Twitter, I don't even know what it is, y'all. So I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you. I know I have one, but I don't even know how to log into it. So I'm gonna leave that one off the list. And Crew Bash. All right, John Bell Everett's finally sent us back into whatever phase, 50% occupancy, et cetera. I'm hoping that at the end of this 30 days, they're going to open it up back more. Y'all, we're doing the Crew Bash at the Renaissance Hotel, and I'm probably going to do it next week. I'm going to go ahead. That'll be the middle of March. I'm going to go ahead and do a special drop about the Crew Bash. I'm going to have a guest on who is going to be the band that's going to absolutely rock it, and probably most of y'all can figure it out already. But I want to have him on, star in his own right. That's going to play after I do a live podcast, and it's going to be an original, never before heard Woody Overton adult podcast for Real Life Real Crime. And if you went to the last one, this one's going to be totally different. This one, we're going to have seated tables. Yes, there will be tons of alcohol drink, and I'm going to do a live show, and then the band is going to play for however many hours after I do it, and I'll do all the autographs and that stuff again, like we did last time. But the difference on this one, y'all, it's going to be professionally managed. The sound is going to be phenomenal. Everybody will get to hear it. It's just going to be a notch up. We learned from our mistakes last year, and it's going to be better, new and improved. And we're going to do a VIP event the night before, and I'm going to tell y'all about that later on when I do the drop about the Crew Bash. So it's coming. Louisiana, and all you lifers out there. I got lifers that messaging me. They can't wait for the Crew Bash. They're coming in from all over the United States. It's going to rock. It's going to be awesome. So it's coming. Y'all wait on the announcements next week. Peep and Tom, you're going to get first pick of the tables for your Patreon membership, and I appreciate that. And so anyway, that's coming. Hang in there. Then, as always, justice for Courtney Coco. And now I can say this because by the time you hear it, I will already be back. But my ass is going to Rapides Parish this week, and I'm going to be in court for a couple days, and unfortunately it's not going to be on Courtney's case. I'm going to do some defense consulting, but I plan on hoping to get to see Courtney's family when I'm there. But other than that, I wouldn't tell anybody, because I'd be like a thief in the night. When my ass hits the Rapides Parish line, I'm incognito, right? I'm not driving my own vehicle or anything else. I do believe 90% of the cops up there are great, but I also know they got some people that would love to catch me on a dark street. So, but anyway, justice for Courtney, they said that the grand juries are now back open. That Rapides has said that they're going to start their jury trials on April 1. So, when the grand jury gets selected, they have to send out subpoenas. The people have to come in, and they ultimately pick the people that will sit. I think it's 3-month terms, right? So I'm just giving you a time frame. And so the grand jury has to get picked, and if they're going to present Courtney's case, then they'll do it whenever they do it. So justice for Courtney, do not give up. I'm also expecting something else national on Courtney this month, but I don't want to tell you until it happens, but you're going to know when it happens. In justice for Courtney, prayers for her beautiful family, prayer for Miss Anna, and we love you, and I love you, and hope you are doing well with the cancer treatment. And that, y'all, goes for everybody. And I hope everybody is healthy and happy. And cancer sucks, and COVID sucks, and so everybody. We have all these countries across the world and fans listening, and I know everybody has tragedies and stuff that happen in their life, and we pray for y'all. We're family. If you need something, contact me, and we'll put a prayer list in. If you don't pray, that's fine too. I don't care. But we'll send you some positive thoughts, right? Barbara Blunt, please, it's almost time. I get tired of saying it's almost time, and something happens and delays things back. But please continue to share her story, and please continue to call. And your tips, I can't tell you what I know, all right? But I can tell you the difference is you have dedicated law enforcement professionals, and Sheriff Art and his guys, and they want this case solved. And guess what? Murder never goes away. Like you little bitches in Courtney's case, your time's up. And I know you're listening, and your time's up. And I know Miss Barbara's killer or killers are listening to me, and your time is up. We're coming for you. When we get to turn this back loose, you should be very afraid. Period. And finally, as always, I'm going to end it with Lopa. Oh, one more thing. Continue sending your evidence stories. Man, I got a huge response from Pad Tracks, and still getting them. The very successful on getting evidence stories that just horrible things that I didn't know about. So I want to work on that. But I'm going to end it up with LOPA, Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency. Be a hero. Give the gift of life. Y'all, LOPA.org. You can go there and sign up. It takes like a minute to sign up to be an organ donor. And yes, you can sign up to be an organ donor if you're not from Louisiana. And let me look at my map. Let's see. The Philippines. You listeners of Real Life, Real Crime in the Philippines, if you want to be an organ donor, go to lopa.org and check the box. And y'all, there's a spot on there about Real Life, Real Crime. They put us on the page also. So if you want to tell them how you heard about them. Yeah, hey, they don't make any money. They're doing it to save lives. And I'm certainly not making any money talking about them, but I believe in it. I believe it's a hero-worthy thing. So lopa.org, be an organ donor, save lives. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
Life, Real Crime is a true crime podcast brought to you by Woody Overton and executive producer Toby Tomplay.